Okay, I guess we're just gonna jump into this thing. So this is my story of being haunted for 20 years. It started when I was like 9. I lived in. I don't think I need to tell you what shithole town I lived in. It was in Oklahoma though, and first night I was sleeping. My dog kept barking, like not barking, but uh, uh. She was at the foot of my bed. Sassy, shut up. That was her name. She was a little poodle, a sweet dog. Lived to be like 18. Um, uh, uh, uh. Sassy, shut up. Like eighth, eighth and ninth time of me, like, and I mean I'm 9, like already just I was gonna swing up out that bed and just like throw her at the door. As soon as I swung up out of bed, I thought it was my dad. And he was, I guess from y'all's angle, be sitting over here. I could, he was trying to fit something into something. Is what it seemed like, he's sitting in my floor. Like, I'm looking at his back. It's like he's sitting there trying to like put something together. And so I see what my dog is sitting here like barking at. I think it was my dad. And I was like, Dad? I didn't answer. I think I kept doing its, just putting whatever the fuck it was putting together, trying to put it together. Dad. Still sitting there just putting it together. Well, the third time, I mean, I thought I was a tough little man growing up. Dad, I mean, my shit broke. I was about to shit myself. It was not my dad. And I knew by the way it just turned it like, who are you? And like, a blink of an eye. And the thing about me thinking it was my dad was because I could tell he was sitting there in a white shirt. Like, I thought he was like maybe drunk playing with my Hot Wheels. Like, I know 9-year-olds probably shouldn't be aware of whatever. I thought my dad was maybe just drunk in there trying to like play with my Hot Wheels, whatever. Had a great dad, by the way. Not my dad. That little boy appeared. I'm laying down, and I mean, he like this far, like face to face, And I could tell it was a boy. It wasn't just a shadow figure. I don't get where people say it's a shadow figure. It's just a shadow. It's no, if it's never just a shadow. The light that was in my room was like it was all external. Like my mom's watching Legends of the Fall down the large hallway. I say large. It was large to me. I was 9. Shut up. The hallway. I got like the orange street lamp out here, white, whatever color. It's a street lamp. I distinctly remember like just the faintest shade of light. Like everything's just almost blue, if that makes sense. Um, that the little boy appeared like right there, and that's what I mean. Like I could tell it was a boy. It like it was a boy with a very shade, like you would do with like a kid with lice, or like if you could imagine like like a 6 year old skinhead, like just shaved, like. And about that time, my dog, she's going wild, she the moment like I go I go to screaming for my mother, and I remember there was something at the foot of my bed. I don't know what. I feel like it was swinging shit. It's been such a long time. But unlike the other two that just kind of sat there and stared at me, like that third one was up moving violent by the foot of my bed. Either way, my mom winds up coming in there, and I have to try to explain all this. We've always been a very religious family. Like I grew up in church. I'm still in church. I've came and gone. That'll probably come with the story. Needless to say, we definitely wound up getting into church. It was like the third time, maybe. I'm getting ahead of myself. Either way, we went in there, and I remember staying up all night. I watched Legends of the Falls. I did not sleep that night. Like we watched Legends of the Falls, or had a long talk about God, and then watched the Legends of the Falls, and like I remember my dad waking up and coming in there, and what are you doing? What are you doing up? And I kind of tried to tell him, and he said we'd talk about it when I got home and not to go to school. What we're we're native. He's half. He's further on down the line. Like there's, I guess we'll get to that stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. uh, didn't go to school that day. These aren't the exact crosses I drew, but I mean this is still like 11-year-old me. Like it's just crazy to think I have some things like this. But I remember staying up all night drawing crosses, and the incident after that was same thing. Started the same way, like says he's barking, growling. Like I wake up and I can't move. Like maybe it's been a while, guys. Maybe I heard her bark and then I looked left first. Whatever, either way, like it happened. It happened a second time, but this time when I woke up, I had like the plastic tubs of toys that my cousin had given me, big plastic ones, and it's just sitting there like this, just all. Here's the door frame. Just give you an example, Here's the door frame. Here's the light switch. Here's the toy chest. It's the two toy chests, so it's the 4 or 5 feet up off the ground, sitting there on the box. And I just remember not being able to do anything. Like I was tried to cry and holler out for my mom, and I could not. Could not save my life, and that's a fucking terrifying feeling when that shit happens. Um, I can't even really remember what was going through my mind at the time, but finally, oh, Mom, finally started. By then, I didn't know this at the time, but when she heard me holler out that second time for shit, man, she was gonna quit because I guess there had been times where she'd be this is back in dial up days, like somebody throwing some banjos, dial up days, and she'd be sitting there at the computer desk, and Sassy would be down the hall barking around at my bedroom. She didn't think nothing of it until I had that night, and a couple nights later, I'm screaming again. So I mean, she was pretty on it about that. I feel like there was a third one there, and maybe the third one was just night paralysis. I'm willing to give science that. Science can have that. The third time could be night paralysis because I suffered night paralysis back in for the rest of my life since then. And I'm 30. Have you? So we have the house blessed, and like I said, I'm no stranger to church or anything. I grew up in church. We was already attending church, but she called the pastor from like our old church, Pentecostal type. Personally, I'm more of a Baptist guy now that I've grown up. Like I suck out other things. Taoism's kind of tight if you're not like down for just one religion or believe in God or Jesus, which you should. God's great. Like, the love is there, but it's really all that I can recall from that period in time. After she called in our old preacher, and they prayed over, they prayed for me and anointed me and oil, and they taught me some prayers and gave me some understanding of what it meant to be like a Christian, and that God's with me, and that these things can't hurt me. They only hurt me when I let them hurt me, and So like spiritual warfare is, it sounds radical for like a 9-year-old, but I mean, as an adult looking back now, as I mean, if you believe in such things, it's a ghost story. I don't want to call it a story. I don't want to call them ghosts either. Um, I wish it was a ghost story because I still have so much more. There was a avenue, and that time I was about 11. It was probably by the time them sets of crucifixes started reappearing in my life. Um, these ones are a bit back and forth. It's hard for me to remember what happened first or what happened later because there was always, to me, it felt like there was just always so much of it. Sorry. I'm just. Okay. Aside from like the normal, like, dude, there were times where I'd be sitting in my room and I could. Something done happen to the other side of the house because I mean there was so much ruckus. There was always like the sound of just like a china cabinet being just slammed and chunked down, and it's always like the running around like, what's wrong? What was that? Nothing. What do you mean? The whole ceiling just collapsed in the other room. Okay, guess not. The times that I most remember are I was laying in bed, and this was before my parents could like caught on to whether or not my PlayStation remote could, you know, be on or off, or So I was waking up like really early sometimes, and it was just to play video games. I think maybe I started just like I could hear somebody talking, and sound like my sister had already moved out by then. Um, but I could hear like two people talking, like, I'm sleeping like right here, this way, like from me to the camera, and I mean right through the door is the kitchen, is how my bedroom was, because like I had another door over there. But it sounded like my sister and my mom was in there, like in the kitchen, like talking, and I'm just laying there, like I woke up, but I'm laying there because I can hear them talking. And I mean, they talked for a while, and eventually I'm like, what is Shandy even doing here? Because if I'm not up for school, like, then like it's really early. Something must be wrong if Shandy came over here at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I lean up out of bed, And it's just person next to person next to person, just clustered. People, people, people. Like, there should not have been this. You shouldn't have been able to cram this many people into my floor. It's like they're all like kneeling, and like by the time I get up, man, I realize it's not my mom and sister in there. Like, it's this whole room full of people talking, and I make it. My light is like right at the foot of my bed. We already accounted for that crap in the new house. Oh yeah, different house. Chapter 2. um, it quit, and it was silent. I got to the light, and it quit, and it was silent. And I open the door and I walk out there. No, it's like fucking 4:30 in the morning. Probably maybe a little earlier. But my dad would always like watch the movies, and they'd stop and rewind, and it'd always be like that blue screen, you know. And like he had his little man cave, I guess, in the back where like he'd fall asleep in his chair, watch his movies, and like, because that'd be like the only light left on in the house, man. And being fucked with like in your own room, and like, I mean, you're gonna go to your dad at that age. Fuck you if you was that brave at 11. Like, prove it. maybe it was I had a night paralysis. Different time, by the way. I had a night paralysis, and that freaked me out. I think because, dude, trust me, the years of night paralysis are still to come. All right, I promise they're still to come. I learned to deal with the night paralysis by the time I was an adult. You know, like you laying there trying to go to sleep too early, and you can feel it coming up. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. And man, I mean, 13 years old, I was already smoking cigarettes. So I mean, like at the moment I thought that I was even going to have, I would just stay up, man. I think it was more like 14, 15, because I got on amphetamine salts, and I slept during the day a lot. But the second time, whatever it was that, and I'm still 11 at this point. Sorry for skipping around. That I didn't really want to talk about this, but I feel like as somebody who like was forced to have to accept this type of shit when some people run around looking for it. Shout out to the Tape Library and Mortis Media. Sorry, I'm wrapped up in my mind and I'm having a hard time thinking. There was one or two things I wrote down. And the shout outs for sure. Y'all are great. I love what y'all do. Y'all are the reason why I want to share these horrifying years with people. And skeptic or not, it is what it is. There were several times where my mom was like a nurse's aide at the hospital, so there were times where when I didn't sleep right in my room, I would go turn the light on in her room and go climb up in her big ass bed because Dad was always passed out in his chair. I'm getting ahead of myself again. The second time, whatever it was that woke me up that night, I feel like it was the people. And so I got up and came out and I went and I laid on like the love seat. We had this little blue couch in the living room. And went and laid on it, like it's whatever. I'm not in my room. And something like goes like beating the shit out of my back, laughing and laughing and laughing. And another as an adult thing, man, it sounded like the damn Banshees from like 13 Ghosts, which I had not watched that shit by then. At least that's how I feel like it was, most definitely. But it was beating on my back, man, and like I'm laying there and like it's yelling at me. It's like I don't, it's hard to. It's hard to explain, but I don't know. I guess I could. It's like I could feel the pressure of what it's saying, or but got up, said no, like fuck this. Which, by the way, after 20 years of night paralysis, as well, two totally different things. Just throwing it out there. Went my dad's man cave, where it was blue. I lay down, and I'd sleep there till morning. Any time that shit started happening, and that's why that was kind of important because it was before my mom started at the nurse's aide, and I didn't like because I couldn't go into my mom's room and turn a light on and like that. Well, it wasn't gonna happen. No, I'd just go into Dad's man cave and sleep where there was already light, and I was out of my room. And after a lot of time there were, like I said, there's like kind of like a lot between the. Once we got rid of that love seat, I feel like that helped things. Because it was another one of them nights. I come out there and I went and I laid on that love seat and lay there like this, I can't wait to wake up and attend my studies in the morning, So it bounces me off the couch and says, "Wake up, you little shit." No, my dad's back there asleep. Like, there was no one there. Like, you don't bounce yourself out of bed like that. After we either way we wound up my dad had been saving like his whole life so we could buy some land and oh maybe his second retirement, whatever, shut up. We bought some land, put a trailer on it, and night paralysis aside, like, because I had a lot of that out there. That's out in the countries where I really managed to like start, just because I had my own room. I was like 16 by then, like, I could smoke in my room. It was whatever. I could stay up all night. But my parents didn't fucking care at that point. Maybe 15. I digress. Aside from a lot of, yeah, I guess just the night paralysis a lot there. There was one really, really weird repeat dream where it was like evening time and I'm laying in my bed and I hear my mom walk in and she says, "Colby, groceries." And so I come out my room and I go around a little corner to rid the kitchen, out the front door, and I load up the groceries. I bring in the first batch, take them out, bring in the second batch. I'm waking up to my mom walking in the door saying, "Colby, groceries." Okay, that was weird. Get out there to the truck, start bringing in them first batches of groceries. Wake up again, "Colby, groceries." Get out there, wake back up, "Colby, groceries." And it got to where I was conscious enough of it that I was leaping out of my bed trying to haul ass to this truck because maybe if I got the groceries in, it would quit, And I mean, that's all. There's one other one like that, but I can't think of it at the moment. It'll come to me. Uh, by this point, I was just a quick little. This is what my art kind of looked like around that time. This one. And yes, this is kind of important for later. Like this kind and this kind. And then this is the jumbled ass mess that we will arrive to in a couple chapters. And I had some. We will get to that chapter, don't worry. But I feel like showing some of the art might, I don't know, give some people a better grasp of things. Ooh. One moment. Okay. So, by this time, I had moved in. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this. My sister wanted to try to rekindle things with her husband. Or I guess they wanted to try to make things work for the kid. Because he had this whole big old, like, double wide, like 36 acres. Like, he had a really good job and it turned his life around. Which, I mean, I guess he had whatever. I move in with her and him because, I mean, there's 5 bedrooms. Like, that's me, her, him, like, whatever. Like, I played the drums, he played guitar. Like, growing up, like, high school when I was 14, worked in the oil field, got drums, loved fucking drums, man. I would have just went and played on a damn street corner. Like, I loved them that much. Like, but had to finish school, and my dad got sick, and so I didn't move off to go live my dreams, whatever. Same old sob story we all have. Hauntings, yes. This is where it gets really bad. Bad as in like, it started with small things, really weird things. Like, we kept finding one of the kitchen chairs in the hallway. Like it was just pulled out from the bar, like, way too far and turned around, I might not have been turned around, but I feel like it was turned around. That's what really made it fucking weird and inconvenient. And I remember me and my buddy, we tried it one time. Because, dude, it had just been me and him in the house. Just me and Tori. Probably shouldn't be saying names. Whatever. Because he goes to walk out the room. And we had other roommates by then. Shandy had moved out. Things didn't work out like that. Really got to stop saying people's names. Start saying mine next. Abraham. I walked out the door and the chair was turned around. He was like, dude, are you the one that keeps doing this, or is it Tyler? And I'm like, I thought it was you. Like, we put it back, man, and we stayed in my room for, a while. There were a lot of drugs and drinking. It was always fun, whatever. Stay in school. But there was serious evil in that house, and you could feel it when it moved around. Roommate T, I guess we'll say, different from other roommate. Um, I guess he was like first having panic attacks and night terrors and stuff like that, which it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I get, I've had night paralysis my whole life, which well, we can discuss that in a later video. This one's already long enough. If people care. But we would have big parties, you know, like, oh man, big for our small town and people we liked, whatever. I mean, there'd be like 10 or 12 people, and I mean, you'd have oil field workers, like serious athletes, you know, like people who weren't normally like afraid of things, you know, like I mean, hell, if it was a hog outside, like they would have done, like went out there and killed it with their bare hands and be trying to figure out if it got worms so we could cook it. Like, I mean, we're Oklahomans. We were gonna do some bored shit, you know. Right. Parties, men, real men, you know, like not little sissy girl men. But you could, I don't know what it was. Something evil. I mean that, but it would move through the room, making everything. You know, I swear everything gained like eight. I don't want to exaggerate, but it was like everything just gained so much weight. Like all of a sudden, you got grown ass men scared and wanting to leave. You got all the girls huddled together on a couch crying because they don't know why. And it'd go off into that back bedroom, man. Everything would slowly start coming back into just. Wow, everyone wasn't that weird? Like, no, Colby, we like, there it was. We want to leave. We had a few parties like that. One roommate received scratches. There was like I was sitting in. I say my rocking chair like it's the one I'm in now, but it's not. But like I was sitting in my rocking chair. And I was facing away from the fireplace. You know, like I'm looking at Tori in the kitchen. And they're like, a sandwich, doing the whatever the hell he was doing in there, lighting a candle. But dude, all of a sudden, like next thing I know, he's like, he's grabbing up underneath the cabinet like this, yanked it back, swinging around, shouting, "Colby, it's got me!" Lights flickering off and on, like. And the weird part about that one was that the light that was flickering, it was like it never worked. Like it was between the little glass. We were too fucking lazy to ever change that son bitch. We were bacheloring it up. Like there was. I never felt anything so. No, never seen no shadow people there, man. But you would see things like if these were curtains, you know, like them little the shutter blinds, little plastic crappy, $15 maybe. I don't know what the price is. But man, I was sitting there one night just eating noodles and watching it. Just pretty used to it by this point. Like I brought up how like we moved more musicians in. That was kind of the whole plan. Like he had buddies who was musicians. I had a buddy who was a musician. We had this house and acreage. Like, but yeah, like who's gonna live it up? Um, I think aside from like the haunted jam, which was almost funnier than it was scary, because one of us had like dropped the like glass jelly and it broke, and it had somehow wound up like around corners on all our ceilings, under all of our pillows, like we're talking like a 5 bedroom double wide, like where it blew up. There's no way it's gonna get around, you know. But we wound jelly wound up fucking everywhere. All right, I'm gonna be real. I got mad and threw the jelly. But either way, there's no way it could have made it around corners and on ceilings and in all the bathroom. Like, that's not the way that works. Um, this is about the time that we dealt with that stuff for a long time. And it sucks that dumb shit tear good people apart. But sometimes I wonder if it wasn't that house, man. That, like I said, if there were times where like we'd be playing, like just jamming out. Anybody who knows anything about like a guitar stand knows that a guitar can't fall out of a guitar stand, and it would, and that happened multiple times. And I don't believe it. Hateds, believe it or not. You'll believe it because I tell you to. Getting sidetracked. There's a mix of that and a mix of our next chapter, just to keep people up to date. I guess we're on chapter 5, which we're just gonna say E. This is we wound up getting away from that house. I'm not going to get into details. More like everybody left, and me working what I was working to be gone as much as I was. I'd be at my house like a week out of a month, and have $100 left. I think is what it was after rent, and that's not even counting the electricity and food. Like, yeah, I got stuck. But landlord was nice enough to just understand. But moving on, um, E, she was a friend, real good friend, love her to death, and a good enough friend that when by this point, if I was like coming through, look, I would sneak into my friends' houses, okay, and I would start cooking breakfast at like 3:30 in the morning. It's what I did. I am proud of it. I'm very proud of it because no, none of my friends were ever mad at me. I think like it was a, they'd wake up and they'd make somebody cook a breakfast and come in there and say, "Oh shit, Colby, it's like you're cooking breakfast. Like, what do you guys? Oh, pimp, how did you get my house?" A carpenter never reveals his secrets. I like measure twice, cut none. Like true carpenter eyeballs that stuff every time, especially on cabinets. But it was this house where things were more chaotic. I don't know what really grabbed me at that house because I wound up moving in, but like establishing friendships or whatever. Because she was like, dude, if she's gonna keep breaking in here and cooking us breakfast, like just like stay here. I was like, oh, pimp, like okay, thanks. Um, and that's when like I don't know, my art just took a different direction all of a sudden, and it became really like cluttered and chaotic. And honestly, this is a nice, or this is a polite looking piece of art that I drew. Does that make sense? That it's polite? Because there's some, and it was but style wise, I don't know. I'm not trying to sit here and dig through all my stuff because I'm not about to drag all that in here. I just had the one book. But I don't know. You would. Oh man. There was. I'm getting completely off track. But it's the aggression in all the lines of things. But this is all after the fact. But if you just seen how cluttered and aggressive everything was, man, and it was, they wound up burning my books, some of them, because I guess I was bringing in dark spirits or summoning the devil, however you want to put it. Still not trying to sit around summoning the devil, like I'm the only one around who even went to church or tried to, like think the Bible was cool, like what? And like, it's one of the funny incidences because, like, man, I'd catch her doing it because I did it, and it didn't matter where you was at. Like, you could feel them walk like into the the outside threshold of this door and be looking at you, and it's, well, there's no one there. See, I ain't goofy. I'm like 21 at this point, so it's like I I know this type of weirdness. It's making sense to me. And she had moved her boyfriend in there, and she's doing her crocheting or whatever. And he's over there playing Skyrim. 11, 11, 11, by the way. Uh, and like, but at this point, like he's new to the house, like me and E are not. And he kept, yeah, be playing for a little bit, and he'd stop it and turn around, and look down the hallway, and keep playing. So I'll let it stop and look down the hallway, and I described the feeling, like, like the feelings of certain people when they're around. Well, we'll just we'll call this chick Liberty. All right. Well, there's E's younger sister, Liberty, and it's kind of like her younger, just happy, bubbly type presence, but I always felt like she was around watching you, right? And it's like, yeah, this feels like so and so is over there looking at you, doesn't it? Yeah, and that's exactly who it feels like. How do you know? Yeah, we feel the same thing all the time, too. And then that's when I wound up being. I dealt with the night paralysis like a long time. Still, like, I got to where, like, the moment if I even thought that, like, me sleep, because I'll have it in the middle of the day. like I was never safe from, like, night terrors and sleep paralysis. Like, it can hit you in the middle of the day. All it takes is falling asleep. Like, oh my god. But okay, by this point, 22, fiance, back out at home. Like where I moved during, I guess, chapter 3. We're on chapter 6, by the way. Not anything real radical besides just night paralysis, bad feelings, a lot of understanding that, like, there's probably just between Texas and Oklahoma, like, everything's probably just one big graveyard as it is, So there's probably just something everywhere. And whether you be feeding into things or they're feeding into you. Go to church. Find Jesus. Um, aside from people explaining to me like the same things that I've already felt and knew for so many years, of like there was one time like oh I don't really want to get into one times. Not tonight anyway. So yeah, honestly, that's probably why we're just gonna. That chapter 6 got way too dark for YouTube. Is feel like we can't. The story kind of ends after. What is it? Prologue after the epilogue. I don't know. I'm not a writer, but I can tell you, shadow people. You know if it's a man or woman. You can see bone structure. It's you're not just shadow people. And aside from, yeah, like I said, a bunch of like really weird, like like what I guess chapter 4, which would be the double wide with all the musicians and stuff, and like the bass falling, the chair moving, the blinds, the weird feelings that whatever moved through the house and just scared people off. That's I just feel like I have to keep sitting here saying that chapter 6 got very dark. But I have a large crucifix that before I move into places, I make sure to get the devil out of them first. I think the most I feel are things. There are still nights where they're very few, like aside from tonight with the couple beers, it was the only way I was really going to sit down and try to talk about any of this. Um, I've been like 2 years sober off alcohol. Go me. I was a real drunk piece of shit for chapter 6. I guess mostly it's at this point. I mean, if you're still hanging around or want to ask questions about, well, how did you deal with your night paralysis or your your demons and feelings and what have you? I mean, ask away. I do work a lot, so my replies will be slow. Um, I've got 2 jobs, and I'm trying to take go over a business, but it's another story. Yeah, aside from a bunch of like what have yous, I don't know. Oh, yes. I guess that was supposed to be chapter 7. I'm sorry, I'm bad at this. So I only wrote down like a couple things. I still get the night paralysis every now and then. When I first got to where I am now, which is I'm up in Washington. Well, what, the state or Washington D.C.? Wouldn't you like to know? And I lost track of thought. So tight. That only took an hour. So bye.